Welcome to this edition of New Knowledge, a partnership between the Town of Abingdon, the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, and the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator. I'm Mark Graham, Executive Director here at the Incubator, and I'm pleased to welcome Mike Downey as our speaker today. I've known Mike for over 40 years since we were classmates together at Emory and Henry, where he studied business and economics. This Roanoke native has worked his entire career in sales and business development for a variety of industries across Southwest Virginia. Since 2001, he's been the Southwest Virginia representative for the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, a state agency working to promote international trade among Virginia's businesses and industry. His office is conveniently located right here at the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator in Abingdon. Today, Mike is going to talk to us about how to expand your product or services beyond the U.S. with state funding. So please welcome our friend, Mike Downey.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you and Jean for the opportunity. Thank everyone who's took the time to join. I'm going to try to share my screen. I work with the Virginia Economic Development Partnership with the International Trade Division. We're about 29 people headquartered in Richmond. And the International Trade Division has been part of VEDP for over 25 years now. And it's been growing every year. It's quite amazing what Virginia does for international trade compared to other states. As I worked with many companies during my career with operations in other states that didn't have the availability of international trade help, I got to realize how strong this program was. When I worked for manufacturing companies here in Southwest Virginia, I used the VEDP to help me do marketing in other countries. And was really grateful when I got the opportunity to become part of the VEDP International Trade Team. I'm going to move forward. See if I can. There we go. One of the things we're really proud of is 99% of the companies we survey, everyone, 99% are extremely happy and likely to use and recommend us. The effect of international trade in Virginia is huge. We attributed, I think in 24, 2.3 billion in international sales were attributed to the programs that we developed and worked with the companies in Virginia. We supported over 20,000 jobs with those trade programs. And I think the impact of exports on Virginia's economy is something a lot of people really don't think about. People know we have a huge port in Virginia, in Norfolk. But what I wanted to talk about is that 75 billion was last year, 24. We don't have the 25 numbers yet, but in 24, we did 75 billion in export. The real surprise to me, and I didn't realize this till a few years ago, 71% last year was services, not products, which is quite amazing to think about. It's not hard goods leaving the port. The Port of Virginia is quite amazing, but in many cases, the bulk of the products going through the Port of Virginia are coming from other states, which is wonderful. I wanted to touch base real quick. This is an overall 316,000 plus jobs are affected by export in Virginia. 3.4 billion in tax revenue, 29.4 billion in wages from the people that are working directly with export, and it's 10.5% of the GDP. Now, these numbers are from 22. It's the freshest look I've got. Hopefully, we'll get an update on that. I will tell you, it's seeing roughly 2 to 3% growth. I think one of the largest things that people don't know in Southwest Virginia is what is the impact of exports in Southwest Virginia. We had a study done by William and Mary, and 56% of the total GDP in what I call Region 1, which is pretty much everything west of Wytheville, 56% of the GDP is export. You can see if you can see my slide, you can see that it's mining. Synthetic fibers and plastics are the bulk of those sales numbers. 8.4 billion out of that 70 billion that I was just sharing comes from Southwest Virginia, what I call true Southwest Virginia, everything west of Wytheville. And 26,959 jobs. That's quite an amazing number that are related to the export in Southwest Virginia. I also like to share that that means that's a huge risk for this area if we have exports decrease in those areas. So it's one of the things we like to keep pushing, that we will support the export and help people continue to find new markets to grow. I wanted to highlight a company. It's been a couple years since we got this information, but PBE, Piboit out of Tazewell. Um, they are now owned by an international company. 75% of the sales they're doing are international. They have offices in 12 different countries. They have customers in 30 different countries. What is quite amazing is this was a company that grew here in Southwest Virginia. Yeah, they were purchased by an international company, but the huge focus on their growth has been international. They've worked with us in a lot of different ways, and that's some of the things I wanted to talk about is how you can work with the VEDP to continue your sales growth and diversifying the markets you look at. One of the things a lot of people don't know is that we offer free research for anybody. Doesn't matter how big your company is, if it's one person or 600 people, we can offer free research. We have subscriptions to many databases. We can look at what type of markets are growing, what type of effects are being realized around the world, who's importing, who's exporting, whatever you're looking at, we can get you market research. We have, and I'll do a little more detail, but we have consultants covering over 120 countries that can help us get on the ground real-time information on research. We do trade missions and trade shows. Uh, Pretty much, we'll do about 11 trade missions a year and 11 trade shows a year where we take Virginia companies out of the US and into other markets. Um, we do a lot of programs to help companies accelerate their growth. And I'm going to highlight those programs in another slide coming up. But a lot of the companies that work with us continue to work with us. Um, and they realize the value of having basically a marketing team working for them. And with our research and our consultants, um, our trade partners that we use trade partners for logistics, finance, legal, marketing, anything you can imagine related to export. Some of the programs, um, we're funded by the General Assembly, and you know, $12,000 is typically the largest amount that we have in a grant for a one-year program. And I'm going to highlight the Regional Export Program. It's a year-long program where we can come in and evaluate what the strategy would be needed for growth. We would implement research to find out what are the best markets, what are the best emerging markets, to find out, where you would have the best possibility of success. Um, we would also offer $12,000 grants if you would like to go to a trade show that qualifies as international. That can be in Las Vegas or Houston. If it has a international presence, 16% of the attendees is the number that we use to qualify what an international trade show is. So it can be the packaging show in Chicago, it can be the mining show in Las Vegas. It doesn't have to be outside of the US borders. A lot of companies in Southwest Virginia take advantage of this trade show program. We also have supply chain optimization program, which companies can do that program and also do either the trade show or the regional export program. So they can work with their operations team to, shore up their supply chain. And we find that a lot of companies take advantage of this, even if they're larger companies that are owned by outside companies from all over the world. They'll take advantage of our supply chain optimization program to get their employees certified, get their programs certified. Um, a lot of different ways they can use that. We also help them find new sources. We typically try to push sources in the US, but if they're buying from China and they want to look to move closer, we may find them help in Mexico or Canada. Um, we try our best to help them find sources here in the US. We also have a Virginia Global Business Internship Program, and we give companies $6,800 in grant money to host an intern for about 16 weeks during the summer. Um, it's helped a lot of companies develop some marketing or develop their um, customer relations program where they can go back and look at different ways to help their export. What we try to do is match companies with students that will be in the area for the summer. For example, they may go to school in Eastern Virginia, but come home to Western Virginia for the summer. It's a wonderful program. We also have an international training program, and that's where you could have your logistics team um, get training on export, all of the compliance that they would need to export. And these programs, the training program and the intern program, can also be run during other programs when they're looking to do marketing programs. They can also do the training and internship program. So a lot of ways to use the VEDP to support your company's marketing efforts. I wanted to highlight the STEP program. It's a SBA federal grant that right now has been frozen. Typically, we get awarded an amount where we typically have been giving companies about $8,000. But since the government shut down, there was no award at the 1st of October. And currently we're in limbo on that program. So we're hoping that program survives because it allows for companies to use the funding for flights and hotels when they travel outside of the country for export marketing. Just wanted to show a quick view of the world map where everything in blue is where we have consultants that are working for us to help with research, with matchmaking, introductions to possible partners. It's quite extensive. The state of Virginia has the largest consulting network of any of the states in the U.S. We did over 400 research programs last year with companies, again, covering the 120 countries. Um, it's where we really help companies grow when we can have virtual introductions and then possibly get them to go and travel and meet with the prospects in other countries. Um, it's one of the things that sets Virginia apart. Instead of just doing a trade show, we actually take companies to actually meet prospects at the prospect's location, see the company they're dealing with, see the people they're dealing with, and make relationships. I wanted to highlight something today that I'm seeing trend, and that is e-commerce sales. It grew quite a bit during the pandemic, and we're still seeing growth for various reasons. Um, and we're seeing smaller companies participate with e-commerce on a lot of different platforms. And we're going to see, uh, we're going to see, I guess, 19% growth by 28 from today's numbers, which is just astounding. And by the way, these numbers come from Shopify. They are legitimate, and a lot of the clients that work with us use Shopify as a platform, and sometimes they can even use their Shopify platform on other localized programs in platforms in other countries. Um, when you look at the total number, we're going to hit 7.89 trillion by 28 in e-commerce sales. Most of that right now is coming from the US, China, and Western Europe, which are the three regions that probably have the strongest buying power, and they're a huge percentage of the total e-commerce sales. Um, but we're also seeing a huge trend where a lot of the population, in 28, we predict 50% of the global population, 14 and older, will be online shopping. And they won't be doing it on their PC, they'll be doing it on their phone. Um, the platforms, when I talk to people in South America, it's Mercado Libre. And no, it's not Amazon. And you may have your product on Amazon, but you're probably not going to get much recognition in Latin America. So what we try to do with clients, we try to get them to diversify and put their products on several different platforms. We're seeing a huge increase of purchases from the US in China through Alibaba and eBay, Amazon. In Canada and Australia, we do a lot with clients using Amazon Australia, Amazon Canada. And it's quite amazing what the Shopify platform can do. It will calculate all of the, which is changing daily, the tariffs, but it will calculate the shipment fees and tariffs, so that your clients know exactly what their total cost will be. There's a lot going on with AI, a lot of new things to tailor your marketing, and we help companies fund the different changes they need. One of the companies I'd like to highlight is a company in Floyd, Virginia, that does jewelry, and they import gemstones and different products that they make their jewelry out of, and then they're shipping it all over the world through different platforms. Um, it's been quite a unique experience to see them grow. They're only about 20 employees, and they've had probably in the last 4 years about 50% growth. And I look at a lot of different small companies here in Southwest Virginia that could use the VEDP help to expand their online, their e-commerce business. Um, and it would be a lot of significant help from the funding provided, and it would be a wonderful way to kickstart a small business. I wanted to cover quickly the people that are my associates that cover Virginia. As you can see, I'm in the southwest part of Virginia, covering everything west of Roanoke. But we have people all over Virginia doing the same thing that I'm doing, managing the programs, working with the clients, and coordinating help with our consultants, our research team in Richmond, coordinating help with our trade partners, the Port of Virginia, and different trade partners, logistics, financial, legal, and just real quick, I don't know if anybody has any questions, but would love to answer anything. Again, I just wanted to highlight what our offerings are through the VEDP International Trade Team. Um, and I really wanted to highlight some e-commerce information to help smaller companies. One of the things that I didn't really discuss is 5 employees is typically the minimum that we work with. But for the STEP grant, which is through the federal funding, which we don't have currently active, hopefully it'll come back when the government starts back to work. But you only have to have 2 employees to get the STEP grant, which can help you use that money for export marketing, export travel. Um, so there's a lot we can do for small companies in Southwest Virginia. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I'm open.
Mike, you mentioned a couple of companies that you've worked with. Could you give us some other examples? I know I love hearing about your travels internationally, and I think folks might be interested in some of the markets that you're helping folks with around here locally, and some of the companies that you've helped.
Well, in Washington County, we now have Universal Fibers in our valet program. Universal Fibers was looking to get into the automotive market in Europe, and what we've done is help them with our consultants in Europe to grow their um, prospects, to meet with possible partners. And that's just one example. And we've helped them with their marketing efforts in Europe. Um, and it is helping the Virginia side. They also have an operation in Poland, but most of the products are shipping from Virginia for some of the newer clients that we're helping them meet. We've worked with several companies in Southwest Virginia. We have a lot of bio and even food process companies that are shipping a lot of products to markets that they didn't really understand would be a good market. I'll give you an example. There's a company in Grayson County that makes beef jerky. They raise their own cattle, grass-fed cattle. They control their product, and they're probably their largest client would be the 7-Elevens in UAE and Saudi Arabia. Um, and there's a lot of different food products going to the Middle East and Africa, uh, food products that don't need refrigeration, food products that have a longer shelf life, a lot of different possibilities. We have a lot of timber business being exported. With the loss of furniture companies in Southwest Virginia, a lot of the lumber and timber is being exported to Southeast Asia, China, but we're also seeing market growth in Australia and Western Europe. Um, in Western Europe, they've had some deforestation regulation. In Australia, they've had deforestation regulation where we're now being able to ship the lumber from the US into those markets, which has given market growth. And we're seeing a lot of bio and um, things to do with life sciences, especially around the Virginia Tech New River Valley corridor. A lot of small startup companies are taking their products and working with companies in Europe and other parts of the world where they're finding new markets. And a lot of times the research will show them an emerging market where they may not have the competition they would have in a stable, a sound market that's been a long time market. Um, for example, we had one client in Floyd that makes microphones, and they're not the largest microphone manufacturer, but we've taken them to Australia and South Korea and helped them find niche markets in their seeing growth. Um, so that's part of what we do is work with the smaller companies to find a market that gives them opportunity where they're not maybe going to the largest market where the largest competitors are, but looking at a market where they can find a niche and a way to grow. Um, Mark, there's a lot of different companies working with us in a lot of different products. It's hard to imagine sometimes which companies could export a product. But if you have, I know we have a lot of tourism in Southwest Virginia, and we have people come here and they go to our local shops and they like our products and they go home. It would be neat if they could continue buying those products online. Is one of the things that I see that we could really do some outreach with companies in Southwest Virginia. The unique thing is it doesn't even have to be made here. If they make the connection with the customer, that's really what it's about, the relationship. And that's one of the things I'm focusing on e-commerce, the way you market, the platform you get your company positioned in, is really what it's about.
Hey, Mike, I got a question. So, and this is because, I'm employed by the town, so my focus is mostly on that footprint. And we have some manufacturing, but ours is mostly niche or small manufacturing. What's the best way for me? What's your best path, you think, for them to vet, or do you guys just set up consultant meetings to figure out if there's an opportunity with you to work with VEDP? What's your
Yeah,
path?
thank you, Isaiah. Yeah, it can be amazing what they can find out. We can do the research for them. Very little time for them. We can do the research on the products, tell them exactly which countries are buying those products, show them where the emerging markets are, where growth is happening. Um, and then we can look at how they want to go to market. If let's just say, for example, they're doing bicycle parts or bicycle related items, and clients come to Southwest Virginia to ride their bicycles, and they made a connection while they were here. Uh, they may buy products from here just to support the relationship they have. So we can help clients build their e-commerce site, even if they're making a product that they traditionally sell through distributors or direct to OEMs. We could help them look at new markets and see what the possibilities are. Again, each product may have its own nuance as far as how we go about looking for it, but we can actually also look at the parallel markets to see where things are growing. And if companies have uh, maybe a desire to grow into a new market, we can explore that for them before they actually invest and help them figure out what the competition is, what the market size is, could they even participate in a market? So a lot of different ways we can help.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, other questions? All right. Well, Mike, thank you very much. It's good to get this word out about all the resources that you all have available at the state level to assist businesses, and particularly the research side and the internships. Those are very exciting. I mean, I think neither one of us could have ever predicted that 40 years ago that we'd be sitting here in Abingdon, but we're good examples of folks that have come to this region and worked here and gone to school here after getting our start and enjoyed it and like to stay here. So we appreciate all your all's efforts to help make this a great place to live and work, and what you're doing with the state. So thank you. Well, please join us on December 3rd for our next New Knowledge, content that converts, how to sell your product or promote an event with Reels online. Our speaker for that session will be from Letterpress Communications, another good Emory and Henry grad that runs that, Mike. So, but that'll be first in our upcoming series on marketing that we're going to be producing for the next several months. And as always, if you want to check out our catalog of previous programs and speakers, visit our YouTube page there at Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator. You have to subscribe to that, and you can, there are presently 236 videos up there that you can watch on a variety of topics that should be a lot of helpful information on there. So thank you again to our partners, the Town of Abingdon's Economic Development Office, the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, and from the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator, we want to wish everyone lots of success. Call us if we can help. Thank you.